Wednesday. Okay, today we're going to talk about objections versus excuses. And there is truly a difference between them, no matter if you're representing a buyer or a seller. Perfect example, my kids were moving here from San Diego, put an offer down on a house, it was $250, ran some comps, they started at $220, got it up to $240, $10,000 less than what it was. The property was on the market for 3 months, and that's what they came into. The seller said, nope, sorry, I'm not going to do it for $240. So my kids wound up buying another house. Now, a month later, the property's on the market for $225. So, should they have taken that original offer? Yes. When a property is sitting on the market that long, that means that we have limited amount of buyers that are willing to buy that house. And if it's within a reasonable range, okay, and that was a very small percentage, they could have actually sold that house. Now, they're looking at losing another $15,000 plus whatever the buyer is willing to negotiate off of that amount. So, was that an objection or an excuse that the seller had? An interesting concept, isn't it? So, their objection was they felt the house was worth more. Now, if the property's been on the market for 2-3 months and we finally got somebody who's willing to negotiate and we get an offer that goes in there, then we eliminated the excuse, right? The excuse was the house isn't selling. The objection was my house is worth more. Okay, so by the time you're making your mortgage payment and your insurance, and if you have HOAs or Mellorews, and you now have 3 months of carrying costs, now it's back on the market, it's been 4 months, would it have been cheaper to take the original offer on that house? The answer is yes, it would have. So, you've got to make sure, and same thing with buyers, right, is what are you willing to pay for it? What's the time that is in it? Are you willing to look at what your excuses are? And if it's an objection because of a property or it's just way overpriced, then consider it an objection. But there's a lot of excuses out there that we can talk to the consumers about if you're a seller or a buyer. So make sure you're determining the difference between an objection and an excuse. Excuses can be eradicated. Objections can be overcome. So you need to be able to attack each one of them independently on how you're going to solve that problem. Okay? So make sure that when we are talking to our seller or our buyer that we're going down, and an excuse might be, oh, I'm waiting for another house to come on the market that's a little bit cheaper. Or I'm waiting for one that's got an extra bedroom. If there isn't one around there, then we need to get rid of that excuse. Okay? So make sure you're looking at them. Make sure you're talking to the buyer and the seller differently on what the objection and the excuse is going to be. And if you have to, help the listing agent, or if you're a listing agent, help the buyer's agent if they don't understand the difference. Okay? So have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday.